What is the weirdest thing you have ever seen a stranger do? I worked at a radio station and was doing a remote at a car dealership. A woman walked up to us wearing a shirt, an apron type skirt, no back, and men's boots, and nothing else. She had spray paint all around her mouth and kept asking to buy the back special car. It freaked me out. I was walking through the town I live in a few years ago, and some guy was walking just ahead of me looking like Hagrid from Harry Potter, in a long brown wool coat and long hair and beard, and he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a plant, with roots and everything, dropping soil everywhere. He looks down, repots the plant in his pocket, and reaches into the other side pocket for his wallet. Since then I've been totally in awe of him, and I often wonder what he was growing in his coat. Not my story, but one my dad told me. He goes to work very early in the morning, and one day he had stopped in a Wawa to get some coffee. While he was pouring his coffee, he noticed a guy who had already put coffee in the cup and was now standing in front of the cream dispenser, rotating his entire body like he was hula hooping to mix it together. Watched a guy on the sidewalk below the train platform bend down and casually put a pigeon in his pocket then walk away. Dinner is served, I guess. A woman got in her car, took a big sip of a smoothie, then proceeded to open her mouth so her small dog could lap up the smoothie in her mouth. Just yesterday, I saw a guy walking down the street with a glass of beer. Consumption of alcohol in public spaces is illegal here for the record. Another stranger walking the opposite direction approaches him. Hey, give me your beer. Here's some cash. Go buy me a beer and buy yourself one too. First stranger obliges, gives this man his beer, and goes off with the money to buy some beer. By the time he's back, second guy has finished the beer. First guy hands a glass to second guy, and they both go their separate ways. Was pretty amusing. I was hanging out in Washington Square Park by the fountain with my buddy. Hot summer day, people have their feet in the water and just relaxing. I shit you not, a guy comes up jogging, places his water bottle under the fountain and chugs it, fills it again and jogs away. Me and buddy look at each other like no way dude. You know those sticks that dog walkers use to throw the tennis ball further? I saw a guy just throw the whole thing with a ball attached. Dude did it twice. I saw an old man in a casino eat 40 or so peppermint candies. He would put 5 in his mouth or so, then swallow, then do it again. These were the ones you would have to suck on for an hour to get anywhere. When I was backpacking around Ethiopia, I ended up staying overnight in some tiny little town whilst waiting for my bus to my next destination. I saw someone walking down the street completely naked with a block of wood clenched between his bum cheeks. It was that strange and illogical that there are times where I question whether or not I saw it. In my university dorm, one girl ate the same thing every meal. She would eat sliced bread, start at the middle, and eat until the crust, but not eat it. So, she'd have an empty frame of intact bread crust. Then she'd microwave lettuce and eat it. A guy wearing boxers running behind a car which he was chained to by the neck and the waist. He was being escorted by a couple of other cars, while people cheered around him. I'm pretty sure there is a context to this, but I was just passing by the town and no one from there could tell me what the fuck it was all about. On the bus once, there was this guy who was shouting at his hand for going numb. He then threatened his hand and told it that if it didn't wake back up, he would smash a bottle of alcohol and stab it with the broken end. I hope the hand filed a report against him. Watched a guy nonchalantly scratch his balls multiple times, then wait a few seconds before pretending to scratch his nose. Did it about 6 times in a row. I mean, I've taken a whiff too, but geez man, it's getting real obvious. Lady in the airport, nicely dressed. She vomited in the middle of a walkway and just kept right on walking, perfectly composed, hardly even broke her stride. As if throwing up on the floor of a crowded public space was just another task to tick off on her list. Edit, no people. I didn't expect her to just like conjure up a pack of paper towels and clean it up, but her total nonchalance about it seared it into my memory. Also had horrific nausea while pregnant and threw up in many unexpected places, but pretty sure I never pulled it off without so much as missing a step. At a concert, sitting behind an extremely sunburnt man, I watched him peel off a sheet of his burnt skin and then eat it, as if it was a perfectly normal thing to do. There is a coffee shop located in the building I work in. When it was time to close, midnight, I was told a guy was sleeping in the coffee shop. I woke him up and told him I was going to lock the doors and he had to leave. He stood up and opened a bottle of water and poured it on his jeans on his calf. I said, "What are you doing?" Meaning like, hey, you're getting water all over the floor, WTF. And he just politely said, "That's how they work, man," and then left. It still confused the hell out of me. Edit. Thanks for the silver. I've never got that before. And for the people who are asking for a description of the guy, he was mid-40s, Canadian tuxedo with a black North Face over it, and brown leather boots, kinda chubby. Not exactly a stranger, but once in middle school each of the students in my class was assigned a jug each as part of our gardening class, and I remember this one guy sitting near the end of the room, close to where the jugs were kept, jerking it off into one of the jugs, which, I found out later, belonged to a girl who he had a crush on. Funny thing is that they were in a relationship a year later, but I don't quite know if she knew what he did to that jug. An old bald man on the train in full lycra who ate a whole 1 kilogram bag of raw potatoes. A guy on the subway once took a handful of loose nuts out of his pocket and offered me some. I declined. I saw a woman on the train file her nails. In between filing each nail she would lick the file clean. Shudder. I saw a man stop in the middle of a crosswalk, examine 2 leaves he was holding, throw one away with disgust, and eat the other leaf. Saw a man wearing shirt with the word legend printed on the front sit down on a park bench, pull out a wheel of camembert cheese and proceed to eat the entire thing in a few bites, then stand up and be on his way. A true legend. Old guy on the bus taking on his phone, and when he got off his phone it was a bar of soap. When he left the bus he said to the driver, "Thank you, Captain." When I was a kid I saw a guy in church lick the entire cover of his hymn book, bottom to top, in one long stroke. I was maybe 10, and he was easily 40. It still haunts me to this day. Edit. Because a few people have asked. No, he wasn't looking at me. It wasn't a perverted thing. I was behind and slightly to the side of him, so he 10/10ths didn't know I was watching. Also, fairly certain he wasn't doing coke. I didn't know him, but my parents did, and I'm confident it wasn't a drug thing, which makes it weirder. TBH. Edit 2. My most upvoted comment is about some dude I saw licking a book when I was a kid. I love you, Reddit. Just last week, I saw a man walking around my work with one shoe. I politely pointed out that he was missing a shoe, and he, also very politely, apologized and proceeded to pull out his wallet and attempt to wear it as his other shoe. I saw a older Asian lady vomit in a plastic shopping bag while on a New York City bus. She tied it up, and when we reached the next stop, she flung it out the window, and it splattered all over the sidewalk. Was walking up Buchanan Street in Glasgow, and I walked by this guy who was walking as slow as a snail, like almost slow motion. Might have been for an arty thing, but it was pretty weird in a fast busy crowd. Back in high school I used to sit in front of this girl during science. She was known to do strange things, talk to someone who wasn't there, start screaming randomly, possible mental illness, so we mostly kept out of her way. Anyway once I happened to turn around, she looked me dead in the eye while scratching her ass, took her hand out, covered in shit and blood, then while still holding my horrified face, licked her hand. Still haunts me till this day. Now I'm sharing my pain, sorry. One time I was at Walmart, and this is by far the strangest thing I've seen at one. I'm behind a lady at the checkout. The last item was one zucchini, but with a big ass bite taken out of it. Cashier, did you bite this zucchini? Stranger, with a dead serious look on her face. No. Cashier, well, do you still want it? Stranger, yeah, just put it in the bag. From where I was, I could still see the glimmer of saliva from the bite. But even if she was telling the truth, why the hell would you buy a zucchini someone else bit into? I still think about it today. Edit. I can't believe my most upvoted comment is about a bitten zucchini. Anyways, thanks Reddit for all your possible gonad related theories on why this lady did what she did. I wouldn't expect less.